You're on Instagram and you get a DM. You get a DM that's hella funny, just stupid funny. Now, you want to reply, but you want to use a GIF to reply to that message. So you click that GIF icon, type in LOL or whatever, like, I'm dying, right? So you type that thing in. Once you're done typing that LOL or whatever, what happens? Welcome back. Remember last time I was talking about how there are specific endpoints that are lined up that are created to receive specific requests with specific intentions. As you can imagine, not a knowledge of my restaurant, the chef's table is empty and the request comes in to make a vegan taco. When they get that request, they're like, okay, roger that. I'm the one to make this vegan taco. I need to get my ingredients. Then imagine that the chef has a sous chef. Okay, this vegan chef has a sous chef that they can be like, hey, give me some, I don't know what vegan people eat, but give me some vegan give me some vegan ingredients in the fridge. Now, basically the chef just delegated the task to the sous chef that maybe their job is to grab the ingredients. So the sous chef goes into the fridge, they grab the vegan stuff, and then they give it to the chef. And let's say this chef is lazy or whatever, and they got another sous chef that's in charge of all the utensils. Now the chef has the ingredients and they have the utensils, and now they start chopping this thing up, and then they send it back to the waiter. Similarly, if you think about this chef being the endpoint, in a way, the endpoint is just there to receive stuff and then delegate the work to some functionality, what we call actions. And then whenever all that stuff is done, then the chef, the endpoint, sends the data back to the front end. So the endpoint receives the request with all the information that is wrapped up in the request, and then delegates the work to be done to these action-like things to go and do stuff in the database or go find some information somewhere in the internet, bring it back, and then put it all together and send it back to you. So for instance, let me give you an example. You're on Instagram and you get a DM, right? You get a DM that's hella funny, just stupid funny. Now, you want to reply, but you want to use a GIF to reply to that message. So you click that GIF icon, type in LOL or whatever, like, I'm dying, right? So you type that thing in. Once you're done typing that LOL or whatever, if you observe what happens, once you're done typing that, it's almost like the GIFs automatically filter and you only see GIFs that are related to the keyword that you just typed in. Behind the scenes, this is what happens. When you type that keyword in that Instagram Messenger that you're using, what's happening is they take that keyword, they send it to an endpoint. We want to get a list of GIFs. So we send a GET request to somewhere on Instagram, and we're sending LOL as the keyword that we want to search by. Once it gets there, Instagram is not in the business of creating GIFs. They don't store GIFs. There's actually this service that's out there in the internet called Giphy, Giphy. That's where all the GIFs come from. All the GIFs that you use on your iPhone, your WhatsApp, all the apps in the world that use GIFs, they're coming from this place called Giphy. So Instagram has an endpoint that basically grabs this request with LOL in it. And then this endpoint says, hey, sous chef, go give me the GIFs. Go to Giphy and tell them to give us a list of all the GIFs that they have by this keyword LOL. Anything that was tagged LOL, send it to us. So now there's some sort of action that has to happen to go to wherever the Giphy resources are on the internet, and they're like, hey Giphy, can y'all give us like a list of all the LOL GIFs that y'all got, bro? And then boom, grabs the whole list. The sous chef comes back, gives it to the endpoint, and the endpoint sends it back to the front end, and you see all the GIFs loaded up that are funny. Crazy, right? And that happens in like an instance. When you pick one, you say, boom, I want that, and then send. When you hit send, what's happening, it might be more complex than this, but what's happening when you click send, now they get this GIF and they now need to somehow send a post request, or they're probably using some other real-time communication that's going on, but ultimately they gotta grab this GIF, and there has to be an endpoint that will now grab this GIF and send it to whoever you're talking talking to. And then that person will see the GIF in their DM. And that is what happens behind the endpoints. What happens behind the endpoints is actually the real work that's meant to happen. And once we come back, we'll talk about how that work that happens behind the endpoints could go straight to the database, or it could go somewhere else, just like how I just talked about Instagram. But ultimately, that work that happens behind the endpoints, after it's done, it sends data back to the endpoint. The endpoint sends it back to the front end. And that's a whole full stack web application. Once I come back, I'll wrap this whole thing up, and then we'll be done with the whole concept of a full stack web application. And after that, you'll be very, very comfortable to then start diving in and actually start building some stuff. Until then, peace.